Properties in the upmarket locality of Bandra were priced at 18,000 rupees per square foot in the year 2008. Today, the prices have shot up to a whopping 75,000 per square foot. And now, Bandra's neighborhood locale, Chembur too, is repeating the growth story. Excellent connectivity and well-planned neighborhood has made Chembur the most sought-after investment destination, with large industrial pockets unlocked for real estate development. Chembur has scaled up to become the hotspot for aspiring home buyers. It is surrounded by neighborhoods like Lower Parel, Andheri, Bandra Kurla Complex, Seeps, and has easy access to all parts of Mumbai. Chembur is also well connected to Wadala by the 19.54 kilometer long monorail. Being the world's third largest monorail network, it is attracting new developments around it. Upcoming Metro Line 2 will also bring never-before ease in the region. According to Mumbai Metropolitan Region Development Authority, Santa Cruz Chembur Link Road project is all set to be completed by 2022. Being a 4-lane connector, the commute to BKC via Chunapatti flyover has been reduced to just 10 minutes, smartly avoiding the traffic congestions at Dharavi and Sion junctions. This flyover connects eastern suburbs in just 30 minutes. A 2.15 kilometer Mankhurd Ghatkopar flyover will connect key areas like Ghatkopar, Chembur, Vashi, BKC, Santa Cruz, Andheri, South Mumbai, and so on, among others. This will add the never-before ease in commutes from the Eastern Freeway heading towards the Sion-Panvel Highway. Located in the heart of the city, Chembur is well connected to all parts of Mumbai city. It has evolved to become the finest connectivity hub in all of Mumbai. Chembur is also well connected to top-notch business destinations. From airport to monorail, every mode of transport is just around the corner, giving you ample commute options to choose from. Chembur has a good mix of social and economic infrastructure, like educational institutions, shopping and entertainment, healthcare facilities, and hotels. The signature global luxuries of the World Home Collection are all set to add glory to Chembur with its new icon. Having delivered 45 million square feet of excellence across 8 cities, Puravankara is all set to win the hearts of Mumbaikars. Purva Claremont, nestled away from the hustle-bustle, yet connected to the world, is an icon of a world-class lifestyle. Embrace luxury 2, 3 and 4-bed residences with a range of high-end indulgences to usher you into a world of hand-picked privileges. Move to the iconic destination and live the iconic lifestyle. It's your time to buy Chembur by Puravankara.
Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Genius, a virtual artificial intelligence, and I'm here to assist you in your home buying process. Extracting all information from the realty world, here I am all set to provide you with the best investment option.
Bengaluru is the most consistent real estate investment destination in India. One of the most important factors spurring real estate growth is the ballooning of manufacturing hubs, IT parks, and SEZs across the city. If you are looking to invest in Bangalore, do not miss on this micro market of North Bangalore.
In the year 2000, the land prices of Hebbal in North Bangalore was rupees 500 per square foot. And today the price is at rupees 13,000 per square foot. It has multiplied by 26 times.
So if you missed investing on Bellary Road in the early 2000s, do not miss Thanisandra Road in 2019. Thanisandra Road is identified to be one of the top opulent residential investment destinations in Bengaluru. Easy connectivity to the airport, access to the central business district, and close proximity to Bangalore's largest commercial hub makes Thanisandra Road the most sought-after residential investment destination. In recent times, Thanisandra Road has seen an exponential growth in residential development. With completion of 2 million square feet of residential space and over 25,000 cosmopolitan residents, Thanisandra has become one of Bangalore's most luxurious locales to live in. Thanisandra Road's real estate growth can be attributed to the presence of many large corporate tech parks,
such as Manyata Tech Park, Carly SEZ, Ecopolis, and Kirloskar Tech Park in the same micro-market.
Around 25 million square feet of office space is likely to be developed between Hebbal, Bellary Road, Thanisandra and Hennu Road. Thanisandra is fast becoming a thriving economic center. The KIADB has earmarked 1,900 acres for the development of Aerospace SEZ, IT and Hardware Park and Devanahalli Business Park. All these developments will lead to the creation of over 3 lakh jobs and will increase demand for housing in the region. Thanisandra Road is also being built as an alternate arterial road connecting the airport to the city, which would in turn reduce the travel time from Thanisandra to the airport. Investments worth 292 crore rupees is earmarked for the improvement of Outer Ring Road.
This will connect Thanisandra to the far south, east, and west of the city and will further enhance connectivity.
The government has cleared the much-awaited suburban rail corridor project with an estimated cost of 23,000 crore rupees.
New Metro Line Phase 2 to the airport has been sanctioned at an estimated cost 10,585 crore rupees. This will have 17 stations and will further improve connectivity between KR Puram, Nagwara, Hebbal, and the international airport. The north-south corridor is planned between Nagwara to Gotigere. This will reduce commute time to the city to a mere 30 to 45 minutes. Thanisandra Main Road also has many reputed schools and colleges, hospitals, and malls in and around its vicinity.
With its proximity to the airport, availability of space, upcoming tech parks, improved connectivity, and real estate development, Thanisandra Road has become one of the most popular residential destinations in Bangalore. Keeping in sync with its growth, Puravankara brings you the perfect investment opportunity. Purva Atmosphere, the chosen world. An investment that will give you a high on life and attractive value. So wait no more. Buy Thanisandra. Buy Puravankara.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back again to another exciting episode of On the Record Decoding Reality. Thank you to everyone who has been tuning in and joining us for the last 2 episodes. We really appreciate it. Thank you. And for those of you who are joining for the first time today, I promise you a very, very exciting conversation. So without much ado, I would like to dive into our first episode right away. Location, 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 right home, right place. I'm very thrilled to have this power packed panel. All three of them need no introduction, but I will do the same. First off, we have Jayashree Kuru, who is a real estate writer, researcher, very, very renowned, and she's been doing it for 25 years now. Welcome, Jayashree. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We also have Mr. Ramesh Nair, who is CEO at Colliers in India.
Hello.
Hello, Ramesh. Welcome. Ramesh is a stalwart in his own rights. And but not the least, I have Abhishek Kapoor, who is my senior colleague here at Puravankara.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here.
Welcome, Abhishek. Thank you. So, location, location, location. This is the golden mantra that every real estate expert has been using since Harold Samuel coined it a century ago in London. Location can be the difference between a great property, a not so great property, a super investment, a poor investment. But why does it hold this kind of power? And what exactly determines the value of a property? The world is shrinking. What does location mean to us today? We have all these questions, but we have our experts today who is going to decode this for us and let us know everything about location. So let me start with opening a question to all three of you. Is when I say the words ideal location, what comes to your mind? Jayashree, if I can come to you first. Jayashree, may I ask you to unmute yourself, please? Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. My ideal location may not be your ideal location. Every person, the ideal location is what suits your lifestyle best. Where do you have the kind of infrastructure that sustains your lifestyle? If you need schools, if you have small children, you need schools nearby. You need entertainment centers nearby. If you're a youngster and you like to hang out at pubs and things like that, you need those nearby. At every point, you have to be very close to or at least accessible to your place of work. There are certain lifestyles each one of us leads. So it is not only the actual property that you're buying, but also the neighborhood, what's around you, the social infrastructure, the physical infrastructure. If there's a crowded red light that you have to cross every morning or every evening, that becomes a deterrent. So location means choosing that place that is most convenient to you to access wherever you have to go, and you and your family, and also that it sustains the kind of lifestyle that you like to.
Excellent. So I heard the word lifestyle a lot, and I think that's a word that all of us have been using a lot since the pandemic hit in, that we've got to update our lifestyles. Ramesh, what does an ideal location mean to you?
Point of view, I would always look for major roads, key markets which are around the major roads. I would also look at where the rental market is from a location point of view. I would look at which are the markets which have low vacancy rates. I would most importantly look for good livability. So when one means livability, it's social infrastructure, physical infrastructure, schools, retail, recreational areas, good connectivity, telecom, electricity, all that becomes quite important. Also, proximity to business districts becomes very important when one is looking at a location. Today, when one looks at branded township developments with very good amenities, that are well maintained, that has the ability to get good rental values, that kind of automatically becomes a good location for prospective home buyers. One needs to look at utility when looking at buying. A lot of times you've seen that home buyers who buy look for utility, but home buyers who rent look more for luxury, and investing in upscale CBD kind of locations in spacious properties within and surrounding the CBD obviously is again a good location choice. So in a nutshell, major roads, good infrastructure, livability, proximity to business districts. I would look at this when I look at a location.
Thank you, Ramesh. That was a differing point of view, and I think that's what makes location so important. Like Jayashree said, it means different things to different people. Abhishek, what is your ideal location? What comes to your mind?
My view on location is it's very specific to individual needs. So, and I'll try and explain what I'm trying to say here. It depends on what is your investment horizon or buying horizon. Where do you see yourself uh, over next tenure of that investment in terms of using the space or the purchase that you're going to do. And at different life cycles for people, it is a different target that people are looking at when they're making an investment or making a buying decision. And I'll just enumerate it for 2 seconds. Somebody who's looking at, say, owning an individual home over next 5 years is going to buy a plot in a certain location and is going to look at a certain infrastructure coming up at that location. And therefore, that is how they are going to look at making that buying decision. Whether it is important for them to have it as a second home or eventually are they looking at a primary home is again a consideration they will make. Basis that the location preference will change. Similarly, for somebody who's at early age, first home buyer, and affordability is the main criteria, we'll look for locations which has got good connectivity, accessible to their close work to workspace or an entertainment area, because younger people have a lot more to they want to go out and have some fun. So social infrastructure in that context become extremely important. In somewhere middle age, somebody will look at it and say, I want an upgrade and I want to get closer to a certain location, a certain social status, a certain manner of looking at it. So to my mind, location is very need based, and you need to really look at what your opportunity, what your target is, and then decide what is your preferences. But most of the other stuff which Jayashree and Ramesh perfectly covered are the main parameters when you look at any of these things.
Thank you, Abhishek. So I think one of the main points that all three of you all are making, that first of all, the person needs to assess their own needs first and then make the wise decision based on all these parameters. So that, I think that makes perfect sense. Jayashree, if I can come back to you with a topic that's really close to my heart, which is, trying to encourage more women home buyers in the realty sector, and for a woman to become a primary home buyer. It's something that I feel strongly about, and, Puravankara feels strongly about also. So do the determinants or do the parameters for a location change or vary when there's a lady who is looking to buy?
Certainly, it does. And I think increasingly, since women are staying alone in urban areas, you find that these things are very important. I'll give you a small example. One of my editors who was editing my book, she went and picked up a location which was close to a metro station. In her mind, it was just 2 stations away, and she could always go to use the metro and not use her car. So she looked at a place which was well connected by the metro. But between her house and the metro, there was a small alley which was dark. And what happened was that she chose it because of the metro, but she could not use the metro because of that small area. Now, I believe that when a woman is looking for a property, safety is a primary consideration. Especially in large cities, safety is very, very important. Within the complexes nowadays, you get many tiers of safety at the gate, at your building. There is a multiple levels of safety. So I don't think that is such a big issue. What really happens is once you step out of that place, or once you get out there and then you're driving out, please be careful that the place is conducive to your safety and security. The other thing is that remember that right now with the pandemic, healthcare has become a big consideration. The access to healthcare close by. Now, if you're staying alone and you have to access the primary healthcare close by, you have to either have those within your complex, or you have to have it at touching distance. And it is a good idea to make sure that you have a neighborhood that sustains your lifestyle, your needs as a woman. The third thing is that as a woman, there are times when you have to come late back from work, and or you have to leave very early. If you're in the airline sector and all that, or media, you're traveling late at night, early mornings, and things like that. It's very important that you stay in a neighborhood that has easy access to the main roads and things like that, and that you don't have to go through too many alleys. This particularly is important in a place like the NCR and northern India, which are not safe cities for women at all. If you have to drive through very lonely stretches to come back home, that's not the best place to pick up your
True.
Also remember that it's a place where there are families. It's not just youngsters there, where there are families, small children, old people. It's not about anything else. It's eyes on the road or eyes on your house. If there are people using different facilities at different points of time, what happens is that neighborhood becomes safer. And I think it's very important to see that these things are looked at before you look for a house for yourself, a location for yourself.
And I wholeheartedly agree, Jayashree. As somebody who's been house hunting, renting or buying, safety is one of the first things which I hope improves for women, not just in our country or everywhere. Hopefully that's not a factor we need to determine when we are buying our home. And hopefully that changes. But till then, safety first. And most branded developers are actually bringing that factor into their development. They're looking at it at that particular target market. So that's encouraging for all of us, women especially. Ramesh, I'm going to come to you with my second favorite target market of customers who come and ask us that I want to invest. So what is the criteria for an investment-only property? So this is somebody maybe in their late 50s, they already have a home, they're looking at rental income, which is something that you mentioned earlier. Would you expound on that, please?
So, Manoj, obviously for an investor, price, the location is very important, but the price also automatically becomes a very crucial factor. Like on the location front, what we discussed, I think it's very important to look at what the rental market is, and also to look at proximity to business district, because if he's looking at investing, he needs to easily find a tenant. And if the house is close to a office business district, that makes his life a lot more easier. But the more important point is pricing. And we have seen that whenever there has been a correction in pricing, which we saw around the middle of last year, which was after the first COVID wave, we saw sales picking up across the country. We saw low mortgage rates, which again has an impact on pricing, again have a direct impact on demand. And we saw those many millennials who were kind of waiting and watching of the fence sitters come back and buy because the prices started going down. Again, the post-pandemic, the realistic pricing, which many developers did, the mortgage rates, which were again at the lowest, stamp duties in cities like Mumbai and Maharashtra, in state like Maharashtra, where stamp duties were reduced, we could see that residential sales had started going up. I was talking to a developer who said that the last quarter of 19 versus last quarter of 20, just because the stamp duty numbers were low in a state like Maharashtra, the sales had actually gone up 120% just in that quarter, in spite of having a pandemic kind of a situation. So these are some of the things I would say one should look at from an investment point of view. You can also look at, if you're a seasoned investor and you're looking at a large property, I would recommend that you use a good broker who can guide you through the buying process. You obviously need a good lawyer to make sure you're not making a wrong decision with regards to aspects like legalities and title. Again, if it's a large property, have a structural consultant who is working with you to kind of guide you if the facility is structurally a good one. Today, from a rental point of view, not too many markets offer you the kind of rental yields which an investor would typically like. But in spite of all that, I think these are some of the things they should keep in mind when they're looking at residential as from a investment point.
No, Ramesh, that was an excellent tip. While most people will definitely have a broker and a lawyer in their consideration set, a structural consultant is not something that a layperson would go for while they're making an investment decision. So that's an excellent tip, and I think people should all, including myself, we're all taking note of that. Abhishek, I'm going to come to you with the opposite of what I just asked the other two. Are there some key factors that get overlooked completely while choosing a location? So let's say, I have the money, I pretty much know what I want, but is there something that people don't consider at all and should be considering when they're choosing the right location for, say, their home, their primary home where they want to stay in?
So, while we've discussed most of the stuff on the location piece, and there are two things I would like to mention which are very, very critical while making a choice. One is, what is the upcoming infrastructure in that area? I mean, if both social and physical, there is a possibility that the upcoming infrastructure can make a big difference to the way you live and the way you work and play and all of that piece. So infrastructure that is going to come up in that area, is it the growth vector of the city? So if that area is a growth vector for the city, then you'll always see the overall area getting developed, and therefore there is a huge opportunity in terms of the kind of lifestyle you'll end up living. The second is the brand you are buying with. So, while pricing is extremely important, one of the biggest criteria one needs to look at, especially in the current environment and the experiences we have had in last 2 to 3 years, is one needs to look at the reliability of the brand of the developer who's giving you the product. Because a lot of deliveries have got delayed, deferred, and stalled in the whole process over the last 2 to 3 years. So while you may get a great price, one thing one must be very, very clear about, that you're making a very substantial investment. And when you make that investment, two things you should be careful about: where do you see the overall market evolving, as in where you are buying, and two is the brand you are buying with, because you don't want to get a great deal but never see the property.
No, and Abhishek, we are in the business. All of us are in the business, and a delayed project or a home that that you're aspiring for that never comes for you is one of the greatest pain points. And a great point about the branded developers there. And now, of course, with RERA, people can have more access to information and have more access in branded developers, which makes the buying decision easier. So, all salient points there. I'm going to do my clockwork and go back to Jayashree now. Jayashree, this is a question that a lot of customers, and like I'd mentioned to you all earlier also, that these are actually real questions that we've got from real people who are seeking to buy homes. They always ask us that, is there a difference between location and neighborhood? Can I have the right location but the wrong neighborhood? So that's another question that puzzles some people, I think. What's your view on this? Jayashree, I'll ask you to unmute yourself, please.
See, location means that you should have the right access to the right location. It's easy to come in and out. There, you have the schools, hotels, hospitals, entertainment centers, retail malls, all around. But neighborhood actually means that you have the right kind of people whom you would like to stay with. Now, what happens is sometimes there are situations where you don't have, you go into, for instance, it sounds wrong to say, but if you go into a 1 BHK neighborhood, you are likely to have a lot of youngsters, a lot of that's the kind of housing that suits youngsters and so on. Now, if an old person goes and picks up that kind of neighborhood, your lifestyles will not match. A neighborhood means A neighborhood means the kind of people who are around you, part of a community. And increasingly, when developers build, they are looking at not just selling houses, they're building communities. You want like-minded people, right? The other thing is that neighborhoods have to be safe. Neighborhoods, you want all the daily essentials right around you. If you want to go out for for a walk, there should be a space where you can go for a walk. You can travel comfortably and things like that. I feel that neighborhood and location, while it's almost the same, neighborhood matters as far as your lifestyle goes, and location is the convenience of access. In my mind, that's what I would say.
So people should, you're saying people should look at the neighborhood first, and then the location is a larger part, because the neighborhood is in immediate proximity.
No, location first. Location
First.
When you choose, more than anything else, you have to look at budget, location, and the amenities that you need in that order. I believe that is very important. But before you make your final choice, you always have a choice of 3-4 properties. Finally, when you make that choice, make sure that you are getting into a neighborhood that matches your lifestyle. Otherwise, you can have the best house, the best developer, a wonderful brand, but you can be pretty miserable if you live in that.
Location, budget, amenities. That's a great checklist for any first home buyer or a second home buyer. Thanks for that, Jayashree. I am going to switch gears a little bit here, Ramesh. It's picking up for something that you spoke about in your opening spiel about how post-pandemic the working habits of people have changed. But you also mentioned that being close to a business area will still continue to be of high importance when you're choosing a location. So has the hybrid working model impacted criteria for location at all?
So a lot of people are still not yet started going back to work. In amongst the IT companies, which is 50-60% of the Indian office space, occupancy is still less than 10%. So a lot of people are still kind of working from home. There is definitely a lot of emphasis we are seeing on both health and safety, which means you need better indoor environments. You need better amenities because you are working from home, and you don't mind going further down the suburbs. You don't want to be just within the close to the CBD areas. The other thing is opposite of walk to work concept, which is larger, sustainable living spaces, safer, quieter neighborhoods. That also kind of becomes important. We are seeing a preference from home buyers for bigger, well-planned spaces with more greenery, more sustainability, better wellness features. Also, for the first time, we are actually seeing home buyers say, "I want more home automation." Previously, that is something which is given only to luxury products. Today, even non-luxury customers have started asking for home automation, better sanitation, a dedicated study, dedicated work areas. Today what we are seeing is there is no requirement for a daily commute, because of which the demand for suburban regions and peripheral regions with better affordability has kind of gone up. And we're also seeing urban infrastructure kind of improve, and with high level of land availability in the peripheries, this is enabling many developers to offer new and large projects within the peripheral locations. Another trend which we are beginning to see is in many developments having co-working facilities within the complex, which was not heard of pre-pandemic. So there are developers who are trying to see if I can have a smaller co-working center in my complex with regards to a hybrid working model. So these are some of the things we have seen in the last few months.
You said work from home, and that's as a student in Melbourne, that was one of my favorite things to do, and I always hoped that India would have that. Do Do you see this becoming a reality more and more about people work from home? Because, walk to home. I'm originally from Bombay. For us, local trains, that's how we get to work. And that trend still seems to continue. So are you hopeful? Because that's something that would make people like me really happy, that if this is a trend and I could walk to my workplace, that's fantastic.
So if you look at some of the best performing townships in the country, whether it is the various Hiranandani projects within Mumbai, Hiranandani Garden in Powai, or the Thane project, or you look at the Bagarpata city in Pune, or you look at the various DLF projects. One of the main reason why this is all these projects have done really well is because of the walk to work concept. We believe that close to at least 20 to 25% of office demand will permanently move towards working from home, which means a lot of people will want to work permanently from home. And that will again have an impact on walking to work concept. But the scope, the potential for projects which are at walking distance, where you can go have schools at walking distance, malls at walking distance, work at walking distance. Those are the projects which are going to be really, really doing well in the future.
No, excellent. So, I live in hope. Walk to work. Abhishek, I'm coming to you with a discussion that you and I have had many times, and it's one of your favorite terms, long term socho. So that's my question to you. How to measure a location's long term resale value? You've had this question from people. We have it when customers come to us and say that I'm going to buy this place now, but what is the guarantee that 5 years or 10 years down the line I'm going to yield a larger return? What would you respond to such a customer?
So, I think there are 3 or 4 things that and as a customer, a lot of times people don't understand. Taking a buying decision early in a project is one of the best things they can do, or midterm into the project is one of the best things they can do. The reason why that happens is because as the project gets completed, and you could map every project in any development across the country, you would see a significant increase in prices from the time it launched to the time it got completed. And one of the best ways to compare that as a benchmark is to say, today for a ready to move in comparable property, what is the price and what is the price at which you're buying?
Okay.
So over the life of the project, you will see that the project, unless it is really unique in its approach and the way it presents itself in a market, which actually it just changes the market dynamics, and that also happens. There are opportunities and developments that come across in a neighborhood or in a location which has never happened before, but there is a latent demand of that particular product, and that also creates a demand supply gap, because there is demand, there is not enough supply, and every time there is a mismatch, you would see the prices really give you the returns that you want. So 2 of the things: one is it something really unique in that marketplace, which is basically a demand supply gap. For example, in a certain location, you may not have enough 4 BHKs. There is a demand, but everybody is building 2 and 3 BHKs. And you can afford a 4 BHK. You buy it early in the project, and therefore you land up making a lot more, one, because simple appreciation through the life of the project, and 2, because simply there's not enough supply for that particular category. So if you look at these things, it just gives you a significant upside. And the third and the last is, how is that neighborhood or location evolving? And that continues to change over 3, 4, and 5 years when you see a project develop. There is various kinds of other developments that are coming up in the area, and from malls to retail to schools to hospitals, and each of these developments, as they happen, they add value to your own project. So I think these are 3 or 4 things. If one looks at it, it really gives multiples.
So get in early, as early as possible. So basically you echoed something all our parents have been telling us all our lives, that the best time to invest is yesterday. So I think everyone will remember that. We have like a whole bunch of audience questions already popping in on my screen. So I'm going to be nicer to the audience. Well, I did have some more of my own questions. There are a few, and I think since it is a end user webinar, I'm going to jump to audience questions now. Ramesh, the first one's for you, and it's from Nandini, and she says she grew up in a tier 2 town. So she wants, I mean, while she's working in Bangalore now, she wants to know that is now a good time to buy a second property in a metro or in a small town? Would tier 2 and tier 3 market growing, would that help her getting early in the investment?
See, there are nearly 50 tier 3 markets, tier 2, tier 3 markets in the country. I would look at one particular aspect before I decide on investing in a tier 2 in a tier 2 market, and that is the job creation happening in that market. So we've seen that when there's a robust job creation happens in a particular market, the demand for homes go up, the pricing increases. But one more thing, when you're looking at tier 2 markets, what you should keep in mind is today talent is highly mobile. We have seen a lot of youngsters who come from tier 2 cities, like someone who has studied in a Nagpur or Nasik, wanting to actually come and work in a Bombay or Pune. He doesn't want to work from Nasik or Nagpur. Similarly, someone who's passing out of Visakhapatnam, wanting to go work in a bigger city. So that's one trend we have seen. Second is, from a commercial point of view, there are not enough good options, real estate options, which are available in these tier 2 cities, because of which a lot of companies don't go to tier 2 cities, because there are not enough quality options available, which is there in a Bangalore or Chennai or Hyderabad. That's one more thing. So because companies don't go and jobs are not created, and if jobs are not created, obviously there's not enough salaried people to go buy newer homes. The third point one should also remember when you're looking at tier 2 cities is today you look at the large cities, Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Pune. There are tier 2 pricing available in these cities itself. So a company, if it's looking for 40 to 50 rupees real estate space, all they need to do is go to Navi Mumbai or go to Whitefield, where you can get space at 50 rupees. You don't need to go to a tier 2 city or go to a Mysore or a Cochin to take space again. That's another thing one should remember. And lastly, we have seen there is a definite resistance amongst talent to go to these smaller cities, because when they're staying in a bigger city, there is obviously your wife is working, your children are going to school. You don't want to disrupt all that and go to a tier 2 city, even if you're getting a higher salary. But one trend I've seen off late is a lot of people have gone back to tier 2 cities since the COVID started. But you should also remember that this is a temporary trend, and once kind of things open up, things will bounce back. So overall, I'm still a little bearish on tier 2 cities, and I would focus on the top 8 cities, including Ahmedabad and Calcutta, while looking at cities to invest in.
Thank you, Ramesh. Nandini, I hope that gave you some food for thought. Jayashree, the next question I have is from Himanshi, and Himanshi's 33 and she's planning to buy her first property, and she's asking you that you spoke about the convenience and the safety being an important factor when a woman is planning to buy. Is there any way to gauge what kind of research does she need to do to choose a safe location for herself? Jayashree, unmute, please.
First of all, look at gated communities. That's where your first level of safety is. Go with branded developers who have a track record of creating communities which are safe, which are well maintained, and so on. It's not only at the time of purchase, but into the future, you want that property managed well. And therefore, you need a good property management service there. And I think large developers are very conscious about how their townships are into the future. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, again, like I said, stay near places which connect to your workplace. It need not be right next to your workplace, but you should have an easy access to your workplace. That makes a lot of difference. Meaning, if you have to go through small alleys and all that, and then get to your home, that makes a difference. I think that makes the safety parameter is very important. The other thing is that I think, personally, when I look at some neighborhood, I do a lot of social media research. The social chatter gives you a lot of information, and I think that's very important. In today's world, we are all connected. Go to Twitter, go to Facebook, go to LinkedIn. You will see a lot of get a lot of information about the location that you're looking at, and I believe that is very, very credible. It is end user information. There are also places, the communities where people ask each other about properties. Should I buy this? What do you think about this developer and so on? I think that kind of conversation, join the conversations before you buy. It gives you information.
Sounds good. And that's a really good trip. Social media research to buy a house. I think we're eventually going down that path, like find the hashtags for the area that you want to buy in. That's a great tip. Abhishek, I have Krishna, who's asked you a question. He says that he has a small child. So he's looking at properties that are greener, sustainable, closer to nature, so the child has space to live and grow. But he wants to know that do these properties appreciate more than others if they have accessibility to these things?
So I think more sustainable properties are now upcoming trend across all developments. I believe that over time we will see even regulations have defined every property to be built with a certain amount of green spaces, minimum green spaces on Mother Earth. There's certain amount of minimum plantation of trees that has to happen. So there's a lot of regulation which is creating a lot of sustainable homes. The other part which is very important is what are the initiatives that the developer is taking, and those I think over time will deliver a lot of efficiencies in terms of cost of living. When I say that, I mean is that technology is continuously evolving, and a lot of developers are implementing technology to bring in sustainable homes. Over a period of time, that will result into energy savings, that will result into greener spaces, etc., etc. So I think these are two things which will continue to evolve. And if one can look at opportunities where developers able to offer products which are offering these technologies over time to give you those energy savings and greener spaces, then it'll definitely be a better place to live. So, if you go to any of the large projects and you go and see people enjoying in their large green spaces, I think there is a temptation to buy over there because that's where the community is formed. So I think that is going to continue as a strong trend.
Thank you, Abhishek. Ramesh, the next one's also for you. This is from, can't get the person's name here. This is from Harsh. He's asking you that you mentioned that price is one of the important criteria when you choose a location for an investment. But let's say that the location that they liked is a little out of their budget, but they're feeling confident that they've got good advice to say that it will appreciate. So he wants to know if it's okay to go a little over your budget if you're feeling a little confident about the location.
I would today say that more than going above the budget, one should stretch a little bit to buy finished homes where the risk is minimal. You should also keep in mind that given a typical salaried employee in India gets anywhere between a 7 to 10% increase of salary every year, which means your compensation, your net take home is increasing. So it's good to kind of look at where your earning potential is 3 to 4 years down the line, not just today what your earning potential is. If you're getting married, your wife could also be earning. So I think my advice to this audience question would be stretch a little bit, but don't overstretch. Maybe stretch it by 15 to 20% more, and then take a decision.
Good advice there. Good advice with the finished properties. I hope Harsh took a note of that. Jeshri, I have another question from you from a lady woman buyer again. I think our first question hit a nerve with a lot of our lady viewers here. This is Preeta, and she's asking that, okay, suppose you've got the safety and the convenience aspect under control. Is it a handicap, or is loans available easily if she's a only home buyer? And there's no other applicants on the form? Is that not an impediment anymore? She wants to know.
No, it's not. In fact, if you're a woman home buyer, I don't think there is any discrimination as far as loans from the formal sector is concerned. It depends entirely on your credit rating and your how much your payout capacities. In fact, as a woman home buyer, you will have to pay lower stamp duty rates and registration rates when your property is complete and registered. So in a lot of cases, the houses are in the name of the woman because you get tax incentive, right? And you become the first buyer. Even if you're joint buyers, people tend to put the woman's name first. So I don't think women are discriminated against as far as buying homes is concerned or sourcing loans, because today I think we are on par with with the other genders. Right?
Of course. Of course. Preeta, I hope you heard Jeshri's points there. I can also point to you that the very first episode that we did on the record was exclusively for women home buyers. So I'm going to get someone in my team to send you that episode so you can watch it and get some more advice. Abhishek, the next question's for you, and I hope you answer it because it looks like somebody who is viewing one of your properties in Goa. This is Ritu Bariria, and I think she's looking at Adora, and she wants to know that what is the potential for real estate appreciation for properties in spaces like Goa, because she's looking at one. So what would you tell her?
Very interestingly, one of the projects that did phenomenally well during the pandemic has been Goa. Not just from the very beginning, we have, in fact, we felt that, and I mentioned this earlier on in the show, that there is a latent demand for a certain product and that is not there in the market. And when it suddenly comes up, that demand really shows up. So that really pretty much comes from the research that you do about a particular location and about a particular kind of product that people are looking at. So having said that, I think Goa is going to continue to see a lot of demand for multiple reasons. One is it's a destination in itself and everybody loves Goa and everybody wants a piece of Goa. And second is, I think the trend towards owning second homes, which one can use for multiple ways, either to stay for themselves, take a break, give it out on rent, on Airbnb. There are so many ways today to use a second home. And nowadays, actually, a lot of people and large number of people, as Ramesh rightly said, there are a large number of people who are now going to be working from home, and those are people who don't care where they are located. They want to go and stay actually where they want to stay, by the beach side. So in that context, it is always a good idea to look at opportunities like this, which can fit into the scheme of things you're looking at.
So I think as you were talking, all your sales guys are dialing Ritu Barira's number. She's probably on the database. She's like, she's already interested. Let's get in a quick sale right now. But thanks for that, Abhishek. Ritu, I hope you got your answer. And if not, some of our sales guys will be contacting you any which ways. Ramesh, Divya has a question for you. She said that you mentioned earlier that there were 8 cities that you are feeling bullish about in terms of an investment, and she got Ahmedabad, but she missed the other names. So she was hoping you could reiterate it for her.
So the 8 cities which I had in mind were in South, Chennai, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. In West, Pune and Mumbai, and Ahmedabad. In North, Delhi and Calcutta. These were the 8 cities, what we call the tier 1 cities. I would say maybe Ahmedabad and Calcutta is still kind of evolving as a market. So these are the 8 cities where I would bet.
Excellent. And Divya, this episode will be available on YouTube also later. So if you miss the names, you can watch it again and get them down. This specific question is for Abhishek, from Abhishek. There's your namesake who's asking you a question, Abhishek. He's asking you that most developers since the pandemic have switched to virtual tours and video calls to sort of determine instead of a site visit, which is not possible these days. How reliable are they? And can a buyer go ahead and place his trust and place her trust and make that buying choice based on these interactions?
Absolutely. I mean, it of course depends on how the product is presented and how you are assured of the project. So when these virtual presentations happen, and there are multiple ways of doing this, and the kind of content you see when you're presented with the product is very, very important. So reliability of the content is extremely important. So if it is coming from a strong brand and you know that they have been continuing their deliverables in terms of projects, I think that is the step one. So that if that is perfect, then the second piece is to validate the information that you have received virtually. And we have seen large number of bookings that have come online, and largely most of the developers, they have made it so much easier to be able to take a decision, make a choice, and view every aspect of the product. I mean, I know that there are video calls people do walking around the site, and they're able to convince the customers that here you just see the kind of product we are building. So that piece has evolved, and to be at home and not to go through a day of going through the traffic, going and visiting physically 3 projects, and then taking a decision versus sitting at home over a 4-hour conversation, and you're able to get all the information, and you're able to make a choice easily and more conveniently, I think has really, really evolved. So there is a lot of movement there towards this online booking and online viewing and video calls, and we see that as an increasing trend as the markets evolve.
And it's I mean, we are doing this virtually now. In an ideal world, we'd probably having coffee together and having this conversation. So I think that's testament that videos are working. Jayashree, Samreen has a question for you. She wants to know that when are all good locations expensive?
No, I think locations need not be expensive to be good. It depends on the convenience of location, and I don't think every developer just hikes the price just because the location is good. I think ultimately it has to be value for money. That price that you're paying. For instance, the Delhi Metro Delhi has decided to increase the FAR of say places like Parul Bagh. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get very large, spacious apartments there. But a small studio apartment right next to the metro, if you have to travel on the metro route, is far better than moving into the suburbs. Now, if you move into the suburbs and you buy of course, you get larger apartments if you move into the suburbs, and still larger if you move into the periphery. It actually depends on what suits you. Even in the periphery, you can get expensive apartments. Even in the city, you can get lower priced apartments. Ultimately, it has to be the right price. And that right price is determined normally. There's a rule of thumb that I like to tell people. If you are paying, say, whatever you're paying as your rental, if the price that you for purchasing a new house is, say, not more than 25% more than that, that means that you are able to afford that EMI, right? Whatever you're paying plus a 25%, 15 to 25%. If you are, there are certain age brackets where you can push it up to 40% also, because there are some lifestyle compromises. And like Ramesh said, your salary keeps going 7 to 10%. After 3 or 5 years, it will become much easier, and this is a long-term investment, right? So it's the price of the property is not what it is today. The price of the property is eventually how easy it is to pay your EMIs. The other thing is that the price of the property is also value for money. The location, the amenities, the conveniences, the neighborhood that you get. If all that matches, then I don't think, just price, one number is not what determines the price.
No, and that gives a lot of hope to a lot of young people who actually want to get into the market, right? That price is not going to be the only determinant. There's so many other things that is going to get you return on your money. Thanks, Jayashree. Samreen, I hope that allows you to make a wise decision. Ramesh, the next question is for you, and it is from Santosh, and he said he just got married last year. So congratulations, Santosh. So him and his wife, both working, looking for an apartment. He wants to know, what's your advice to a young couple? Should they buy an apartment close to their workplace and pay the higher EMIs, or should they sort of choose in the far off suburb, the Whitefield that you mentioned, have lower EMIs and maybe commute a little more, but this is their first home? What would you advise them?
My advice is, I think from a timing perspective, this is probably the best time we have seen from a millennial buying point of view for a home. Multiple factors have come into place: developers giving discounts, interest rates being the lowest ever. You've never heard of these kind of interest rates. You're talking about the markets beginning to come up, unsold inventory getting sold fast. I think it's a matter of time before prices start going up. So from a timing perspective, I would suggest that this is definitely a good time to look at buying an apartment. From a location point of view, it's kind of quite subjective depending on where his workplace is. But the location always kind of matters. So I would suggest that he should, like I said in my opening statement, if you can find a home which is close to your workplace, which is close to your main arterial roads, and there is good travel connectivity and infra connectivity, you should look at that rather than going very far off from the main city.
So excellent advice, Santosh. I hope you got a note of that. And he has a follow-up question, Ramesh. I'm quickly going to come back to you. He wants to know, are there any companies or services out there that can vet developers or builders? Because all of us mentioned branded developers, big developers. Is there a company or a service that exists that vets developers, that lets the consumer say, this is a good person, this is a company you should go with?
Very good question, actually. There were rating agencies. There are still rating agencies who rate developers, but very, very few developers in the country have actually gone ahead and rated themselves using some of these rating agencies. So there is no apples to apple comparison there. I would ideally look at social media. I would look at various blogs, what consumers are talking. If a developer has been delaying consistently, that's not the developer you should choose from. If the developer is giving you substandard product, so I think online consumer forums, about online activism, what is happening. Look at the RERA website to look at is there any RERA complaints. I think these are the things I would look at. And if you want to de-risk yourself, the best thing would be to look at a finished product, what we call a RTMI, ready to move in. Look at one of those RTMI projects which are ready and where you don't need to take any risk, or where the occupancy certificate or completion certificate, depending on which city, what is it called? Look for one of those projects which has that, and then take a decision.
Excellent. Thanks, Ramesh. I think this also echoes to what Jayashree said earlier. Social media is sort of giving us all the answers that we need these days. So you can base your research on that. I'm conscious of time. I know we will stop at 6, but Abhishek, a last couple of questions here from Levine. She wants to know that does the smart city scheme or the smart city tag by the government have an impact on the location?
Definitely, Minol. I think the smart city is a fantastic idea. Government's done a great job at improving the entire infrastructure, both physical, technology-wise, and the way they are going about expanding these cities. This was long overdue in this country, and finally we are seeing it happen. I think smart cities will command higher premium and higher pricing over time, because convenience will become from all points of views, including utility and infrastructure, is going to be far better in these cities. So I personally believe that that's going to really help.
Minol, with your permission, may I add something?
Of course, Jayashree. Of course.
I believe that what the World Economic Forum has come out with, the 15 minutes locations, I think those are the ones that people will slowly start opting for, which means that there should be adequate pedestrian paths, there should be adequate cycling paths, and public transport or fuel efficient public transport. If that can reach you to most of your places, then inter locality commutes are not so important for people. What they're looking for is that 15 minutes localities. And I think that while international localities, places like Paris have already announced it, my feeling is that in smart cities in India, you will soon start seeing this kind of announcements, where localities, neighborhoods, which are self-sufficient in themselves and where you can walk and cycle. I think that would be catching on very soon.
And that would be everyone's dream, like Ramesh also mentioned, walk to work, walk back. You actually have time to maybe go for a run, do things that you want to do, paint, sing. That's the dream. I mean, we all look forward to that. I know I do.
I'll just add a line here, Minol, if you're fine.
Of
on
course.
the smart city, on a lighter note, I think it was Kennedy who said that look at what you can do for the country and not what the government can do for people. So even if you don't see a smart city, at least build a smart home, spend 300-400 rupees extra and on home automation, and I think that's the smartness we can get for the time being. So
2 thumbs up for that. 2 thumbs up for that. We'll try and get smart ourselves before we hope our cities get smart. Ramesh, one last question. I don't know how you're going to answer this young girl, but her name's Simran. She wants to know that in these 3 metros, NCR, Mumbai, and Bangalore, she's looking at a 3-bedroom. So what would be the best location according to you in each of these 3 suburbs? NCR, Bangalore, Mumbai?
I would look at where the jobs are being created. Exactly where all the IT companies are coming. I think the most number of jobs in Bangalore is created in Outer Ring Road. The most number of jobs in Mumbai is created in the western suburbs, and the most number of jobs in NCR is along the DLF cyber city. So I would look at exactly where all the companies are coming, and I would invest there.
Absolutely. We've got to pay our EMI. So if we have a job that can make that happen, that would be fantastic. Thanks, Ramesh. But before I let the 3 of you all go, I would like to listen to some parting thoughts. While there are many, many questions still popping in on my screen, I'm going to ask you all to leave them on our YouTube comment section, and we'll get back to you. Now that, smart cities and the world is shrinking, we are coming through a pandemic, our lives have changed. Does that change the perception of what a good location is? Does that start making people think beyond just price and resale value? So will perceptions change in the coming 4 to 5 years? And those are the parting thoughts that I'd like to hear from all of you all. Jayashree? Unmute.
I think we have hit the reset button. I think the way we look at our homes has changed. It is no longer the place to come and crash at night. It is the place where you will actually live a lot of your time with a lot of people. So I think it's important to understand that home and what you do in that home is so important, that the importance of the location of your home has significantly changed across large cities, small cities, affordable homes, premium homes. I think people have understood the value of homes, and I believe that this is here to stay. It's even if the pandemic goes away, we will not underestimate the value of them.
No, and I like to keep saying this to people. I was like, roti, kapda, and makan. And roti and kapda got its due, but makan did not get its due as much as it's been getting in the last 2 years. So that's something that resonates with me also. Ramesh, will perception of what a good location change in the coming years?
So there's been so much of hype around work from home. All of us have been kind of working from home for a while now, thanks to the 2 waves. And we have seen how the same companies who last April, in 20 April, said that we all can work from home, are asking their employees to kind of come back So I think there's a lot of hype around work from home, and it's a matter of few months before people will start getting used to. And like I said, that 20-25% will go. Every company will have their own policies around that. But I think what developers need to focus on and home buyers need to focus on more is looking at aspects like security, screening protocols, sanitization, home automation, lifts, cameras, how contactless facilities, self-sufficient open spaces, indoor environments which have good ventilation. I think these are some of the things. Wider passageways. These are some of the things which one needs to look at, and that will permanently change from a design of a home point of view.
Thank you, Ramesh. Abhishek, has your perception changed? Will people perception change about a good location?
I think two things will definitely happen. One is the ownership piece, which was earlier being deferred by a lot of people, has changed. In terms of perception, a lot of millennials were never known to own a home, and that home ownership as a concept was being questioned early on in your careers and early on in your life. I think that has changed because of multiple reasons. Because a lot of these guys went through very hard time living in rented homes or shared homes or shared services and so on and so forth. So that, I think, one piece, which is ownership of homes, has, I think we've gone back to our elders advice, and now you should own a home as soon as you can. That is one. The second one, I think, which has changed, is privacy in home, which I believe will continue to evolve. People will want larger homes and privacy. As I said, it's a little interconnected with the previous point which I made, because you could not carry out changes in your home to get privacy, because you were in a rented accommodation or the society was having an issue. There were various issues around that. But larger homes, because more space is required, because there will be there is a fundamental shift in the way we interact, especially online, whether it is tuitions happening or you working from home in a late night meeting, because you can do that, which was not earlier an accepted or a normal norm. I mean, even if you're working from your office, you get back home at 8:30, or you can go back home at 7 and still do a meeting at 8 in the night. So you will need your privacy of space while others are doing other things. So things like that have really changed, I think, the way people are wanting to buy, and hence people will stretch and buy early. They will stretch to buy larger homes and they will buy early. That's my view. That's a fundamental shift.
Excellent, excellent. It's 6:02. I could talk to you guys forever, but I know that you all have things to do and lives to live. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate all of you all taking up the time. It was a great conversation. I'm seeing a lot of comments saying there are many more questions and we should do this again. If time permits, we will. Thank you, Jayashree. Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you, Abhishek. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
To all our viewers, this was the third episode of On the Record Decoding Reality, and we'll come back with the fourth on the 25th of August, and what I would like to call as the season finale. We'll try and do a little bit of a wrap up, and I'll be shifting gears. I'll be taking the questions this time. I won't be answering them. So until then, stay tuned. Thank you.